Ann, you're muted.
Darn it, I was doing a really nice introduction there. Okay, welcome everybody to the August 22nd Planning, Development and Environmental Quality Committee. Looks like we have a quorum here. We have Greg, Henry, and I see Randy in chambers. So hi, everybody. Deborah Dawson has asked to be excused. And Brittany in the chambers or online, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Okay, and as far as changes to the agenda, one of the things I wanted to do is I was talking to Jackie Millisue from the director of our employment and training. So I wanted to ask her to come, or I did ask her to come to speak at the end of our meeting. And she's leaving the county, unfortunately, and she's wanted to introduce us to somebody who's going to be taking over the reins, and to talk about some changes to a project that they had previously talked to us about. So there was a little bit of change in that, or actually pretty significant change in that project, and that they had come to and asked for some funding on. So they're going to give us an update on that. I think the agenda looks fairly light, so I think we could do that. Do we need, Brittany, do we need to ask for a vote to add that to our agenda?
We do not.
Okay. And let's go to the minutes approval for July 25th, 2022. Could someone move that? So Henry moved that, seconded by Greg. And I'm going to go just across my screen here. Randy?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's.
I think Ann is Ann frozen on everybody else's screen?
Yes.
Yeah, she's frozen.
All right, we'll give her a second and then. Brittany, should we keep going if Ann is frozen?
Yeah, if you don't mind taking over for a little bit till she can get unfrozen or get back on.
Sure. So next we have advisory appointments, ID 11054. Brittany, do you have those that you could read those? Those aren't in the agenda packet. I have those in a separate email.
That's correct. I'll read them off.
Thank you.
To the Climate and Sustainable Energy Advisory Board, we have Andrea Aguirre at large, term expires December 31st, 2024. And Rebecca Evans at large member, term expires December 31st, 2024.
Great. And we take a roll call on those, correct?
I need a mover first.
Oh, would somebody like Henry moves?
I'll second it.
Randy seconds. Any discussion on that? All right, seeing none. Randy?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. All right, so that I don't have, we'll see if Ann jumps back on and we'll go back to the chair's report when she comes back. Who do we have from county administration? Anybody in the chambers or?
We don't have anybody in chambers or on Zoom, actually.
Okay. Then it looks like, oh, here comes Ann for a second. Let's see if she's back.
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's all right. So we already, Ann, we just to give you up to speed, we already did the advisory board appointments. And we're on the chair's report, if you have anything to report.
No, I didn't have anything today. You want me to take back over now?
Yeah, feel free.
Okay, thank you very much, Greg. Lots of computer issues. Let's see. We next had the county administrator's report, but Lisa said she was going to be late, and I don't know if there's anybody else here from county administrator. I can't see everybody.
No, and we don't have anybody.
Okay, so I told Lisa that, whenever she got here, we'll make room for her to give her report. So we'll weave that in later. And then now we have a report from the Ithaca Area Economic Development.
We don't have anyone in attendance from there either.
Okay. Actually, it just says it's an information item, so maybe they weren't going to come. I don't remember hearing seeing any email from them. So maybe it's just an information item, and because they're not going to physically come every month. So if anybody has any questions on that, we could send that to them. Was there any discussion on that item?
Yeah, and I wonder if they may jump on at 2:15 when it says on the agenda item, when it says it was their time on the agenda.
Right.
Would it make sense to either go to planning and sustainability or the tourism, since I think Nick and Katie are both on?
We've got Barb on as well, so we could take her.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, Barb.
Okay, why don't we do Barb next? Because that's when we were going to try and weave her in. So apologize that wasn't listed on our agenda. But that
Absolutely
is,
no worries,
it's in
and
the packet.
I'm also here with Katie today on a particular item. So all you have in front of you is pretty straightforward. There are two bills that are small from Barton LaJudas for helping us to oversee the pavement project. And I'd like to recommend that those be, well, actually, this is for information only, but if you have any questions, let me know and we'll get those paid.
Any questions or comments for Barb? Okay, since my computer is having trouble, I'm tuned back in, but I'm using my phone, so it's a little hard to see people. So if you do have anything for the rest of the meeting, just chime in. I am in the process of trying to figure out which computer to get and to get a new one. So I'm working on that, but a little hard in between power going off at our house 2 weeks in a row and lines being ripped down and trees down, but trying to bob and weave, as a lot of us are. Okay, so thank you, Barb, for coming to the meeting.
Absolutely, you're welcome. The only thing else I wanted to say is that next month we're going to be bringing you an award of bid for reusable bags so that we can help continue to provide to the food pantries and others those bags that they've been happy to have instead of the plastic bags.
Yes, I've been hearing that they're really grateful to have those reusable bags. So
That's
thank you for that.
yeah, well, thank you for passing the resolution that and the law that authorizes that. So.
Well, thank you and have a good week, Barb.
Well, I'm still here with Katie.
Oh, okay, great.
Yep.
Was there something else that you were guys going to talk about together, or you just happen to be?
No, I'm here because there's something we talked about that we want to bring forward.
Okay, so that'll come under the planning report?
Yep.
Okay. And do we have anybody here yet from Workforce Development or IAED?
We do not.
Okay, then we'll move right on to the planning.
Hi, everybody. I would like, first of all, to introduce you to our newest planner. Elliot Benman joined our team August 8th, coming up from New Jersey. And I asked him if he would mind sharing a few words about his experience and background, just to as a way of introduction. So go for it, Elliot.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Elliot Benman. I actually just moved to Tompkins County about 2 weeks ago and started here at the county just 2 weeks ago and have been getting off to a great start. So I'm coming up from New Jersey, where I worked as a planner for about 7 years. I actually started my career working on a program pretty similar to the county housing program, except focused specifically on permanent supportive housing for people experiencing homelessness. Past couple of years, I worked as a planner out of a center at Rutgers University. I've worked on transportation plans and studies for a variety of clients. I also have, especially in the last few years, did a lot of work for county governments. I worked on growth management plans, economic development plans, as well as helped develop housing programs for counties and worked on strategic housing plans. So happy to bring that experience to Tompkins County. Glad to be part of the Tompkins County community and looking forward to working with this committee and all the legislators.
Great, thank you. And Greg, I believe Elliot is living in your district now, so he's a proud proud Drydenite.
As we say, it is the crown jewel of Tompkins County. So. Totally kidding. We've every place is the crown jewel. Tompkins County is a jewel. So I don't want others to think it's a joke amongst the group.
Well, I've liked it so far.
Henry, it looks like you have your hand up.
Yes. Welcome, Elliot. And what is your planning role at the county here?
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned. So my main function is going to be supporting Megan with the housing program.
Okay. And so you'll be working on the Community Housing Development Fund?
Yeah, that's correct, as well as any CDBG rounds that we go for. Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome.
All right.
Glad to have you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks. So the next one I wanted to let you all know about that Barb was alluding to was that staff have been exploring a possible opportunity to put solar panels on the Caswell landfill, capped old landfill site in Dryden. A few years ago, the staff from Planning and Sustainability nominated both of our landfills under NYSERDA's Build Ready program. Just this past spring, they finally replied to us and said that they were interested in the Caswell site. And so we had some discussions with them, and thus far we've had conversations with our partners at Recycling and Materials Management. Highway has a small facility out by Caswell. Barton and LaJudas is the RMM's consultant who knows tremendous amount about the capped landfills, and we visited the site with NYSERDA staff and consultants a few weeks ago, and it seems very promising. There was a conversation about the technical aspects of the solar farm and what that might mean with a capped landfill with the regulators at DEC, and they seem to be very familiar with this model, and it would be on ground-mounted ballast, so there would be no penetration of the cap itself at all. And the DEC seems fairly supportive at this initial stage of the design. So let me just back up a little bit. Build Ready is a NYSERDA initiative trying to identify hard-to-develop sites like brownfields and capped landfills, old mining areas, that type of thing. And work with the owners to try to develop a project before competitively then selling the project to the private sector for them to build, finance, own, and operate. So we're still at a fairly early stage of it, but it's seeming fairly promising that something might move forward for the legislature to make a decision about. The Caswell site has about 80 buildable acres, so it could be anywhere from 10 to 13 megawatts of solar. And then NYSERDA would look for additional community benefits. The county would receive some sort of lease payments from the private developer for the land lease for the project. And the county could also, if it chose, enter into an agreement like we do with hydropower to purchase the solar from the facility as well. So really, it's just an early heads up that this is being discussed. Next step is that Barb and Terry and I are going to be meeting with Lisa Holmes and Bill Troy to talk about it in a little more detail and see whether we want to try to move forward with developing an MOU for you all to determine whether you'd want to authorize Lisa to enter into an agreement on behalf of the county to do this project. Did I get everything, Barb?
I just have one thing to add. I was skeptical at first, and Katie's been extremely, she's involved me quite a bit, as well as my lead staff person, Nate Bates, who's really knows the landfill well. He can take you on a drive up there anytime. But the one thing I think that we're looking at is the possibility, and NYSERDA seemed receptive to bringing in power for us on that site, because we can't automatically monitor the leachate, which we're going to be doing for quite some time. And they thought it was really no big deal. It's not expensive, and they might as well be doing that at the same time. So I feel really comfortable about the project. Actually, I feel very enthusiastic about the project. I mean, there'll be boundaries, there'll be, there's going to be an awful lot of engineering, like Katie says, and technical work. But I'm happy to join the team and stay engaged, and I look forward to the process.
Any questions or comments for them, Henry?
What was your initial concerns, Barb?
Oh, my initial concerns were due to ignorance, and that is that I needed to do some individual research myself to see how this has been done elsewhere. Scott Nostrand is fabulous. He's been our engineer for a long time. He's the vice president, and he actually did quite a bit of research within his own firm and found many examples. And then I realized in going out there, I took a picture of the team. It was great. That these guys really, really know what they're doing, and they're very conscientious about the integrity of the cap and making sure that the groundwater isn't altered and those kinds of things.
Okay.
This is
Thanks.
great. I'm glad to hear that, you guys, of course, have done your research, and it sounds like we can get some, is it state or some federal funds to promote this, or that's promoting this type of thing?
This is a state program through NYSERDA.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so glad to hear you'll be able to take advantage of some of those funds too. And when
They
you
have their own engineer, by the way, LaBella out of Rochester, and very good company. So I think we're working with competency here.
Yeah, I've heard before some talk about wanting to put solar panels, for instance, on top of ash piles that are above the lake, and those I would have definite a problem with. But this, with knowing with you guys doing the research and stuff, and that it's been done successfully before, I'm glad we're taking advantage of this program.
One other thing, Annie, that I just wanted to mention is that my office is going to be funding the B&L work that's required, which shouldn't be very much on the project, to make sure that, that's where I trust them and the integrity, and they bring a lot to the table. And it is easy for us to do that. And I think what's going to come of this, as Katie pulls this project together, is, you know, an understanding of the roles of all the players. And a site visit I thought was a great idea. And I think and the positive email from DEC that Scott brought to the table earlier, like just the other day. So.
Great. And Barb, you mentioned your department doing the B&L. What's B&L?
Oh, I'm sorry. Barton and LaJudas is our engineer.
Okay.
But Nate Bates oversees old landfill maintenance and monitoring. And he's going to be an important part of the team.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? Randy?
That seems like a good use for facility. Is that in Dryden? The
Town of Dryden.
So-
Town of Dryden, and you know, we do have neighbors, and their wells are monitored, and they were very good at talking about communication with people. But my preference is for us to communicate with the neighbors and not necessarily the state. But we'll see what happens.
Would that have to go through some type of a planning department approval, those kinds of things? And
Seeker, and the town of Dryden supervisor was there at the
planner was-
site.
Their
The planner.
planner was there.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the site visit. Ray Berger joined us. And yes, they'd have to comply with their site plan law.
And Seeker, environmental quality review.
thank you.
So I appreciate you, Barb, saying about, you know, reaching out, you know, controlling locally, you know, the reach out to the neighbors and stuff like that. So I hope we get positive feedback from that.
They'll do it, don't you think, Katie? They'll,
Oh, yeah, they seem that's part of their mission for this whole program.
yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else on this?
I would just add that Barb mentioned that I'm leading this. This is really Terry Carroll.
Yeah,
our
or maybe
sustainability
your
officer.
department, your department is leading it, that's correct.
Yeah.
Terry has been wonderful. I have to really give him kudos. He's a really good communicator, and he summarizes everything, and he was very patient with me in the beginning because I was not exactly the biggest fan, but he worked with me, and I think that tells me that if he can work, you know, with somebody who's worried about it, he can work with other people as well. Yeah. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah.
And this is a project that's totally in line with our comprehensive plan and our stated goals. So I don't know if you're going to eventually need any approval from the legislature going forward on this.
Yeah, I think the legislature would have to approve authorizing Lisa to sign the MOU to enter into an agreement with NYSERDA to do this project.
Also,
Okay.
you're going to be reviewing and approving our 10-year draft solid waste plan. And in that plan for the DEC, it'll include what's going to happen here. And that's part of you'll be approving the whole thing at the end of the year.
Okay, great. And Randy, you had your hand up?
Yes, I just wanted to say welcome to Elliot, and that we're scheduled to meet with the planning department on Wednesday at 1 o'clock, I believe. Is that what it was?
Yep.
1 o'clock, yep. So I know Ann's coming, and I think Veronica was, and I know that Greg and anybody else that wants to come are welcome to. So.
Yeah, I know we're all looking forward to meeting you in the offices.
Thank you. And Katie, was there anything else for your report?
Yeah, I do have a couple of other items. Wanted to let you all know that we have completed a draft RFP for a code administration study. It was previously called Countywide Code Enforcement Study, and through discussions with municipal leaders, there was a lot of interest in looking more at kind of efficiencies of operations and how we can work collaboratively and improve processes. So it's a bit broader in scope and more narrow in some ways. It's not kind of presupposing that it might be countywide code enforcement. It's looking at all of the processes that are used around building code administration and enforcement, and seeing what might be helpful to the municipalities in that work. And so we are going to be forming a steering committee, mostly based with staff, but we're also going to have a municipal official, a town planner, and a code enforcement specialist on the steering committee as well. And we hope to release the RFP in early September, mid-September timeframe, so that we can get them under contract and get the study going. So yeah, we're looking forward to it, just assessing the options, coming up with maybe 4 to 6 of them that might be meaningful, and then do deep dive on those options to get more detailed information on what it would actually look like, what it would cost, what might be helpful.
Great. Any questions for Katie on that? Well, thank you for keeping us up to date, frequently on that. I appreciate it.
Sure. I've got a couple more if you have time for me.
Sure.
Okay. We also are going to be kicking off work to update the 2014 Priority Trails Strategy. So that is something that Nick Helmholt and Fernando de Aragon, who's with our Ithaca Tompkins County Transportation Council, will
Did you say
be.
2014?
2014 was when it was last updated.
Okay.
Did I say that wrong?
No, I just was checking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they're gonna start off talking with the Tompkins County Parks and Trails Network. This is a group of kind of informal group that meets twice a year to talk all things trails. And so at their September 28th meeting, they're gonna be talking about how to go about updating the Priority Trails Strategy. And then thought I would share with you that Terry Carroll put together a grant proposal for $2 million to NYSERDA's Carbon Neutral Community Economic Development Program to support the Green Facilities Project. I know it was talked about, that he had applied for this money kind of at a high level at facilities and infrastructure, but just wanted to let you know it would, if this award is granted, it would implement measures to bring the public works facility to net zero, making it the first net zero public works facility in the Southern Tier and possibly in New York State.
Wow.
So that's exciting. And then my last piece of information is just that I've been participating on our Southern Tier 8 Appalachian Regional Commission area-wide grants review panel. And we have invited 8 full applications from our region. 2 of them have operations in Tompkins County. So those funds are moving forward with further review. And then it kind of works through the whole fall. We send a list to New York State, and then they send it off to Washington, D.C. for consideration.
Great.
That's all I got for you.
Any specific topics that they're on?
Yeah, well, the 2 from Tompkins County, one is around increasing tourism career pathways with TC3. And the other has to do with Finger Lakes reuse and capacity building, both within our own Tompkins County centric Finger Lakes reuse and making it more accessible to other communities that perhaps want to follow that model.
Great, great. Anything else, Katie?
Nope, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, nothing else up your sleeve?
Nope.
All right, great. Well, thank you for the great report. Any, before we let you go, any other questions or comments for Katie? All right, well, thank you for joining us today. Have a good rest of your week.
Thanks.
And thanks for introducing us to Elliot. Let's see, so we'll go back and forth. Let's see who else is on here. We do have Rosemary, and we have Heather. So let me just check in with Heather. Hi, Heather. Hi.
Good afternoon.
We saw your was for information only. We weren't sure if you wanted to say anything on the information you sent us.
Well, I always like to say hello, and I'm happy to answer questions about our report. I will also say, in addition to our report, we have also been invited by Southern Tier 8, the regional planning organization, to submit a grant to the Appalachian Regional Commission on behalf of the Chainworks District. It's a $250,000 grant with a $250,000 match from the Chainworks developers to do some infrastructure planning. That'll be part of the first phase of once they take site control of that project. Water, sewer, broadband, sustainability, and traffic improvements. So that grant is going in as we speak.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions regarding the report or what Heather just told us about from anybody in the committee? Henry?
Yes, I noticed that. Thanks, Heather, for your report. I noticed that you had an ARC broadband grant, about 56 rural air miles in county. I was wondering which county, which area that would be.
This is primarily a 17-mile line that goes from through Lansing to the old coal burning power plant, and then along the county line with Cuga and, forgive me, another county. Cortland, through Portland, I think. But our primary interest is that 17 miles that would serve underserved households through Lansing.
And so did you ever work out with the state in terms of the taxation issue?
We have worked that out. The state did make some changes to their requirement. They were previously requiring that any broadband projects, broadband lines that went into a state DOT right-of-way would have to pay upfront fees and then annual fees. That has been eliminated for certain types of projects, and we fall into that category.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else for Heather? Thank you very much, Heather. We appreciate you sending the report and giving us an update and stopping in to say hi.
Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too. Have a good rest of your week too. See, next we have Rosemary Avila here from Workforce Development. There's Rosemary. Hi, how are you?
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I missed the last meeting. I'm here to speak about the resolution in case anyone had any questions about it.
Okay, why don't, so we have a resolution here that's a creation from contingent fund to cover additional expenses at the new office. This is for the Tompkins County Office of Workforce Development, ID 11088. Could someone move that and put it on the floor? Henry, and seconded by Randy. And would you like to tell us a little bit about this, Rosemary?
Sure. So as many of you know, we moved to our new location co-located with IAD over at 119 East Seneca Street. And a couple of unexpected expenses came up as we're now on our second month or third month here. Things like we needed to have new wiring and new phones for our offices that weren't before budgeted for. We also needed to change and update the lines of computers in the computer room for the Office of Employment and Training at the Career Center. Some of them are outdated, and with assessment of ITS, they needed to be updated. And finally, we did want to have some sort of wall signage that was along the side of IAD, where we have a office space where both departments are part of it, or a nonprofit and a county department. So we just wanted to have some sort of signage out in the lobby waiting area for Workforce Development Board.
Okay, any questions from the committee? Okay, I know, moving, there's always additional things that it's hard to budget for. So I'm happy to support this. And were there other things? Henry has a question.
How are the new offices?
They're great. They're lovely. You should come in visit. We look forward to having our tour with the legislature. So yeah,
Yeah,
please come
maybe
visit
we'll visit.
anytime. Yeah,
Okay,
we're right across Tompkins Financial Bank. So right across from it, it's like this hidden little door, and the long column says 119. And so we're on the second floor. Harry's Beach is on the third floor. So pretty good location.
okay.
Yes, all are welcome.
Yeah, so when the new legislators come, maybe we can come then too, so we don't overwhelm you, but glad Henry asked that. So sorry, I forgot that, to ask how you were doing over there. Oh, I did talk to you before this, but so anyway, any other questions before we vote on this? All right, let's go ahead and vote on this. Randy,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes,
Craig?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's unanimous. That resolution passes. Anything else while you're here?
Yeah,
Rosa?
just quick update. We are, just like Katie mentioned, we are supporting and committing some ARPA funds from tourism to the tourism industry career pathway from TC3. So in case, if they get granted, that program will be working very closely on supportive services and wraparound services for workforce. That's something we're following as well.
Great. Anything else?
No, I look forward to presenting next month and introducing everyone our new deputy director, Chris Vaughn. So
Okay.
hopefully we'll have that in place for next month.
Excellent. Okay, any other questions for Rosemary while she's here? Okay, great. Short and sweet. We appreciate you coming today, and hope you have a good rest of your afternoon and week.
Thank you as well. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's see. Want to make sure I'm not missing anything since we skipped around a little bit. So just give me a second here. So I see Lisa is in here, and so we told her that she could chime in when she got here. So if we're going to backtrack to the county administrator's report. Hi, Lisa. How are you doing?
Hi, Ann. Hi, everyone. I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me at this later start time than usual. I just have a few quick updates for the committee that would be of particular interest to this committee. I'll just start by saying the county's director of the Office of Employment and Training, Jackie Muyesu, is departing from the county, but she has agreed to extend her departure date until September 2nd to allow for a longer transition period, and we're thankful for that. Melissa Kachi has agreed to serve as the interim director of Workforce New York. She's been working there for some time, and we have met with her and will be providing her with the support that she needs to support the department during this interim time, and we'll be working with Human Resources to begin a search for a permanent director. So that's the Office of Employment and Training. We have interviews with candidates for our Chief Equity and Diversity Officer position this week. And we are also screening candidates for the second Deputy County Administrator position this week. So we have interview panels for both of those positions, and looking forward to continuing those processes. And then in the meantime, we're pulling everything together on the county budget process, both the operating and the capital budget for the September 6th legislature meeting. So that's what we've got going on here. Happy to answer any question.
Great, and just so you know, we added to our agenda later in the meeting that Jackie and Melissa are going to join us so that Jackie could introduce her and just update us on a project. So we'll be seeing them at the very end of the meeting.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you for that update. We're sorry to lose Jackie. Any questions, comments, concerns for Lisa? What's your cornhole team name?
Friends of the Tompkins County Legislature. That's what we were vetting. That was Dominic's team name. Yeah. How about you?
I'm still working on it. Jackie and I are a team, so we're still trying to figure that out. So scouting out what kind of themes are going out on there in the community. But looking forward to that. Okay, anything else for Lisa? Any other, important questions like I had? Okay, well, Lisa, I hope you have a good rest of your day and week. And of course, you're welcome to stay in and see what we're up to.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the update. And then please stop me if I'm missing something, but it looks like we're down to tourism, and let's see, and Nick is chiming in or coming in next. Hi, Nick, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I heard you might have a report on broadband for us and some tourism stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mostly broadband. I mean, if you have questions about tourism, I can try to field them, but the report is focused on broadband. So just a few updates for the committee here and for the legislature to take under consideration. Since we last spoke about broadband to this group, we have gotten under a contract with the firm that was selected for our RFP, the request for proposals that we issued back in the spring. That firm is ECC Technologies. They're based out of Penfield, New York, and they work in broadband around the world, but primarily North America and East Coast areas. We're excited to have them on board. We've had our kickoff meeting with them just earlier this month, and they seem very, very competent, very professional. They are in the very beginning stages of their work. They've got a 7-step approach they'll be using to help guide us through the decisions we're going to face to expand broadband out to the unserved locations within the county. So we're in the very beginning of that, and working with them to develop what they call the Broadband Availability and Adoption Tool, or BAAT. This is a survey that's can be done online or if need be by paper, and will help us validate the data we have about the availability of broadband across the county. Another update since we last spoke relating to broadband is we've since gotten a hold of the data that underpins the state's broadband map. And you probably recall that from about a month or two ago, the state released a broadband map where you could punch in your address and see whether it was showing you as served or unserved, and what services were available. And that was a map that was produced based primarily on field verification. So folks driving out on roads around the state and verifying where it was likely that broadband, wired broadband that is, was available, primarily cable and fiber. So we have that data set now. The state has required us to keep it confidential, so we can't share it, but you can still access the website, and it's the same data there, so you can kind of get a sense of it from that venue as well. So we're working with ECC and looking at that, and also looking at the data that some of the towns have generated through their own surveys. That's to the ones we know of are the towns of Lansing, Newfield, and Danby, who performed similar types of surveys within the last year, I'll say, roughly. All of those surveys we've done. So this will help us validate where the gaps are. Both that effort and the BAAT, the Broadband Availability Adoption Tool. Once we've got a really good idea of where things stand, the ECC will be conducting a needs assessment and analysis of where the gaps are. and helping to generate sort of the options and costs for expanding broadband to those, what we think are roughly between 1,200 and 1,400 addresses around the county where service is lacking. So right now we're feeling pretty optimistic that this will give a good range of options to explore with them, and later this fall likely present to the legislature for a review and consideration for a direction to move forward to get those areas served. So yeah, I'll have a memo kind of already teed up here that will go out just to kind of send this out so everybody in the legislature has this information following the meeting and within the community. So I think that's basically it. We are also looking at, I should also mention that, I mentioned that there's a paper survey option for the BAAT. We're working with the Tompkins County Library, and I'll be reaching out to the rural libraries in the county to help with distribution of that to folks who don't have, obviously don't have internet or don't have other ways of accessing that online. So that's basically where we're at with broadband. Moving right along. So it's exciting times. We're feel a lot better than we were, I think, earlier this year or last year. So happy to answer any questions or any.
Thanks. Thanks for the report, Nick. We have Henry and then Randy.
So what time do you expect, like, you talk about paper surveys, talk about all the other surveys. What time do you expect all the information to be in?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're looking at having, I believe, the survey to run between 60 to 90 days. Depends on, if we hit our response rate earlier, we can close it down. Our target is roughly 2,000 responses across the county. So if we get that earlier, then we can move forward faster. So.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And are you, go ahead, Randy, you were next.
Yes, thanks, Nick. Point Broadband has been doing a lot of work in Newfield over the last few months and going down a lot of roads that had coverage. We met with the school, and they've identified locations that just won't get it just because of where they are. So the school does have information if you want it. They've been tracking it based on students, so that is available.
That'd be great if you would be able to help me make contact with the person who has that information. I can connect the dots and hopefully make sure that we're accounting for it in our work.
I'll be glad to do that. Some of those places you're just not gonna be able to get broadband to because there's one house on a half-mile long road, so it's gonna be tough to do that. But they're looking at hot spots and other things like that they can do, but I'll be glad to share that. So
thank you.
And so you said the survey, Nick, you're looking at hoping for about 2,000 respondents, which are primarily, I'm sure, looking at people who are underserved or have no service. Is that correct?
That would be ideal. One of the primary things we're trying to accomplish with the survey is to validate the information we currently have about unserved and underserved locations. So focusing on that population and where we expect they're located. So I'm looking at a few other options for distributing that survey as well. Nothing, that's sort of official at this point, but trying to see how we can best get this into the hands of the folks who can help us understand precisely, where services is available and how they're using the internet or not using the internet.
And I know you did this a while ago, but can you describe the difference between underserved and not served? And then Henry has a question.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a subtle difference. Unserved, areas where we don't expect there's any wired internet service, whether it's cable or fiber, and underserved maybe areas where there's very few of these as far as the state is showing in their map, is where it doesn't meet the speed thresholds that they've set, which is 100 megs of download. So they may have some service, but it's we kind of consider it inadequate. And in our preliminary look at the data from the state, there's very, very few of those within our county. So
Okay. Henry?
Are you gonna be working with Dominic to promote the surveys and promote the state website and everything else to get more information in?
yes, we're already in touch with Dominic to get some of this set up. He's chimed in on the drafts that ECC has shared, provided really excellent feedback, and we'll be working with him throughout the process here to get this into the hands of folks who can respond to it.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now for just one more question on broadband. Now, the broadband workshop that we went to down in Binghamton, they mentioned about discount, like a $30 discount for eligible households. Have you been able to look into that anymore, or is that on your agenda?
It's on my agenda. In fact, thinking about how we distribute the survey and thinking about the fact that we can also promote that option, just whenever we do a broad push on the survey to let people know about the Affordable Connectivity Program, that is definitely on my radar. We'll be looking into all the strategies that we use to promote the survey. We'll make sure include links and messaging relating to that too, so that folks who have concerns about affordability can get right to that and call or check the website to see if they qualify for that program. So definitely on my radar to get the acpbenefit.org website more widely publicized here within our community.
And
Okay,
Annie, if
Yes.
I could just answer as well, I spoke with Jen Gregory from STA about this recently, and because we had hoped to perhaps get someone from ARC to come talk, give a little webinar to get enthusiasm going here locally. The focus right now is on Pennsylvania, is what she said, and once they get through Pennsylvania, they will be able to focus on our area a bit more, I guess.
Okay, and because this is federal grants, just to let people know that that's part of why, it's getting rolled out and information. It's not just for New York State. Okay, Henry?
And I've heard that program is underutilized significantly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they shared some statistics at the broadband conference we were at that Annie and Katie and I attended in Binghamton, and that program. I mean, it's not just Tompkins, but we're certainly a little bit behind the average. We'll say the average isn't very good, so that's not good either. So we think there are people out there who are eligible for this program who can participate and who are not doing so right now. So, part of the, one thing we can control is promotion and trying to get the word out about it to help people sign up for it. I believe the threshold is 200% of the federal poverty guideline for your household income as what you need to demonstrate or attest to get this benefit. And I just dropped in the chat the link to the website and the hotline. So if you want to share that with anyone you know or constituents that you think maybe potentially qualified or would share that's would be greatly appreciated.
We also talked about maybe trying to reach out to the school districts as one way to get word out about this discounted internet, especially as school starts up, when people are very aware of their internet needs, to try to work with school districts on that as well.
And if I remember correctly, it was up to $30 a month off benefit that they estimated, like possibly 2,000 or 3,000 households in the county.
I could be mistaken. I think it's capped at $30 a month of a fee, but I will have to double check on that. So yeah, it's a very good discount. It's worth the time and trouble to look into it if you think you may qualify or know someone who does.
Right. Okay, anything else for Nick on that before we go to the tourism resolution? Thanks for that update, Nick. Nick, should we just go to the tourism promotion resolution, or was there anything else you wanted to say about tourism?
Not at this point relating to tourism.
Okay.
I'll have a we're shifting to that quarterly schedule for updates on tourism to line up with the room tax. So I will just mention, our grant cycles are open right now for community celebrations, tourism project grants, tourism marketing grants, tourism capital grants. So if you know someone who's maybe considering one of those applications, please try to get them to apply. The deadline is September 12th. So I expect we'll have a slate of grant awards to bring to this group in late October, or I believe I think your October meeting will be when it shows up.
Okay.
I've been doing presentations for the people to qualify
for the grant applications. Right. Yeah, we did a workshop earlier this month. We did it virtually over YouTube. So for anyone who missed that or would like to catch up with that, we can I can drop the link in the chat so folks can catch up there.
Okay.
And that's on our website, the county website?
County website, county YouTube channel. So
great.
Thanks to Rob for helping us migrate that over.
Okay, so let's go on to the resolution. And let's see, that's packet page 18, and it's a budget adjustment, tourism promotion. Stock ID 11068. Let's see, Henry's moving that. And Greg is seconding that. Would you like to say anything about this, Nick?
Basically, Norma, I believe, was responsible for getting this teed up. It's an administrative item to make sure that we had the funding in the appropriate spot for workforce to come out of the current year's ARPA revenue. So.
Okay, so it's just really kind of moving it from one place to another.
Yeah, making sure that we have money to pay for the workforce development through ARPA is my understanding. So.
Okay. Any questions? Concerns, comments? Okay. I do have one. Are you going to be in the cornhole tournament?
I will be present. I don't have a team yet, so if anyone's looking for a teammate, it'll probably be me, and there may be a 4-year-old joining me. So we may be a little
all right.
maybe
Good
may
to
not
know.
be the most reliable team mates.
Okay. That might be the most important information we've heard so far. Is Nick's looking for a partner for the cornhole team? Or is
I need a teammate. I'm on the cleanup crew, but I'll be glad to play. So
Thanks, Randy.
there you go. So Randy and Nick, and you just have to email Megan Cook, M Cook, and at Tompkins. So it's Megan Cook, and tell her who's on your team, and you can make up a team name.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome. So I feel we've really made some significant things happen so far with having a cornhole team form. Okay, so this tourism promotion budget adjustment is on the floor, and I've a little bit derailed us. So let's vote on this. Randy?
yes.
Henry?
yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that passes unanimously. Thank you, Nick. Is there anything else?
Not at this time.
All right, great. And thank you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day and week.
Sure thing.
And good luck with the cornhole, Randy.
See you next week.
All right. Okay, speaking of cornhole teams, we have my partner for the cornhole tournament right here, Jackie. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Annie. Hello, everyone.
Good to see you. So I'm going to actually let you mostly take it away, but I just want to say I'm sad to hear that you're leaving Tompkins County, but I hear you're on to, some great adventures. And so I really wish you well in that. But I know you've had some things to talk to us about, so I'll let you take it away.
Sure. Thank you. And hello, everyone. So Jackie Muyeso with Tompkins Workforce New York, Office of Employment and Training. So as Annie noted, I am leaving the county. I'll be leaving. My last date of employment will be September 2nd. And I just want to note that I've had a wonderful experience working for the county over the last 8 years. Just have worked alongside some incredible people and have really appreciated being able to do work that I've been passionate about every day. And again, just have been able to work alongside just incredible people in serving our community. So I appreciate that. I do want to introduce Melissa Catchy, who will be the interim director of the Office of Employment and Training. There will be a competitive hiring process for the director position, but Melissa will be filling an interim role. Melissa, are you with us?
I am here.
Are you able to there you are. Yay. So Melissa has been working with us in the Office of Employment and Training over the last several months since earlier in the fall, and has a pretty extensive background in workforce development and also particularly serving individuals with disabilities in a lot of her previous work. Melissa, I'd welcome you to talk a little bit for a moment about some of your background, but we're really excited to have her with us. Sorry, boxes are changing and I thought I lost you. And then I'll just talk a little bit more briefly about the resolution that Office of Employment and Training had submitted a couple of months back that you all approved of, the $20,000 request for employment education series. I just want to talk a little bit about ways that looks like it may be being reshaped. But if Melissa, if you don't mind taking a moment just to say hello and talk a little bit about your background, that would be wonderful.
Of course, it's nice to meet everyone, at least virtually to start. I have been with the county now it's going on 11 months. Prior to that, I've actually started working with people with barriers and disabilities almost straight out of high school, put myself through college doing work with people with barriers and disabilities, and more than at this point, it's probably 15 to 18 years. I don't want to age myself, quite honestly, but it's one of those things that crosses my mind. It's really been that long, but it's been, close to 20 years that I've been working with people in employment and training. So most of my career, it's something that I'm extremely passionate about. It was kind of when I went into this line of work in 2000. Oh, it's been more than 20 years. It was in 2000 that I started working with people in employment and training. It just kind of fit. It just made sense for me. And it's something that I've lived experience, and something I'm very passionate about. I've worked with federal contracts, state contracts across the United States to some extent. So I'm just really excited. This is a great team and a great place to be. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you,
Great.
Melissa.
Welcome.
So I'm really pleased to be handing the baton off to Melissa, at least in this interim role. And also one of the things in particular, in doing the work of the employment education series. So Melissa has a real understanding of a lot of the barriers that folks are facing, that we see people facing every day, that affect their ability to both pursue training and employment, and training and employment that helps them be able to find sustainable work that they and their families can thrive on. And so with that in mind, I just want to take a moment to talk a little bit about the employment education series that you all had approved for the $20,000 resolution a few months back. So what we have discovered with some of the partners that we're working with is that some of the research newer research around diversity, equity, and inclusion is really telling us that while this work is so critical to helping every person to have access to employment and training in our communities, that if employers are not engaged in in-depth changes within their businesses and workplace cultures, that we can't expect real impact. And what they're essentially saying is, 2-hour, 4-hour, 6-hour, training series like what we've proposed, while it can be valuable, ultimately what's necessary is really in-depth work. So changes at the policy level, changes with, procedures, the ways in which the work is done on an everyday basis. And what they're also learning is that we really need specialists, professionals who know and understand this work and are trained professionally to do diversity and equity work, that unless we have people working within those places of employment, that we can't expect real tangible impact. And so what we see with our partners is kind of delving a little bit more deeply into this employment education series to secure more funding, both to help us to research the effectiveness of an educational series, and then also investment in essentially liaisons who can help to ensure that there's actual policy change, procedure change within each employer in order to really bring the kinds of change that we think is necessary. So part of the reason that we want to be able to invest in the research, and when I say research, I mean research of the employers that are invested in doing this work. We want to be able to demonstrate the effectiveness of the work and to be able to actually observe kind of in a pre and post capacity whether or not there's impact. So when the change is taking place, what are we actually seeing? Are people having a different experience? Are employers not only able to recruit and hire new employees, are they able to retain those employees? And are they, again, how diverse are these workplaces? And to be able to really capture, prior to the implementation of this kind of programming and then following the implementation. And so what I wanted to say before I'm leaving and is kind of put on the table as I hand the baton off to Melissa is we're asking for some bit of flexibility about how that, just an understanding that facilitating this work may take a little bit longer. We were imagining right out of the gate to begin this employment education series, to dive in and start working with these consultants. And what we're recognizing through some of the partnerships that we have, both with Cornell ILR School, as well as some of the consultants that we're working with, is the research says we need to delve into this more deeply. We can't just put out a series of workshops and expect that we have real impactful change. We actually have to invest in professionals to work with the employers. So it's causing us to take a couple of steps back and look at the structure of this educational series and to kind of re-examine how we want to put it out. We're even considering focusing on 3 or 4 local employers who are invested in participating in this process, and then having the research done just on those employers. So I wanted to just put that out to all of you, see if we could hear a little bit of feedback from you, but again, with the hopes for a little bit of flexibility about how this takes form.
And Jackie reached out to me and gave me, a summary similar to this, because she really wanted to make sure that, that we understood this and wanted, like she said, she wanted to just know what our thoughts or feelings are about this. I had some reaction, but I'll ask, does anybody else want to speak first? So my initial reaction was that I was very happy to hear that gaining more information about what is truly effective is that that they were able to pivot, and because it could have been very easy to go, okay, we kind of had a program, we had it mostly written out, figured out the funding, figured out how to do it, let's just go on with this, like Jackie said, it would have some value, but finding out what's really impactful, what really is going to make long-term and more structural changes within organizations, to me is a no-brainer that's the way to go, although it's not going to be easier, it's going to be harder. And so I'm really glad they've pivoted and gone in that direction. Henry?
What do you need from us in terms of pivoting?
Good question.
Yeah, thank you for asking that, Henry. I mean, my sense is if you're okay with it, I think it's really just your approval, your support that and maybe also your willingness to hear from us along the way. I think my feeling has always been anytime we're accepting funding or we're writing grants for funds or we're maintaining contracts, that it's really important to maintain healthy relationships with our funders or our supporters. And I think, you know, as we move forward, we're going to want to engage Tompkins County as an employer. Even if I'm stepping out of the mix here, I know, you know, the intention is to engage Tompkins County as one of those lead employers in our community who really invest in this. And this might not be the only conversation that we have in terms of requesting support or even potentially funding for the longer term vision. And I think it's really just a matter of asking you for a little bit of flexibility and perhaps your interest and support along the way.
Do we need to change the resolution?
I see Lisa is on here. I don't know if she's able to chime in or if she's in another meeting. So I don't know. I'm going to put you on the spot, Lisa. If you have any advice for us, if you don't, that's okay too. I don't know if you heard the discussion.
Can you, if you could distill the question, that might be helpful. I'm not quite sure.
Sure. Since the monies that we approved through this committee and subsequently the legislature, what was it at $20,000, 10 or 20,000 a few months back for them for the workforce to work on. Well, I'm going to let you check it from here.
I think I get the gist that the funding was approved for this purpose out of contingency. It was one-time funds, and Jackie is saying that they need to go back and put it on hold and do some further consideration.
Right.
Was the question, is it expected that you'll be able to use those funds in the calendar year 2022, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Lisa. I think that's exactly where this core planning group is at right now, is revisiting that and what kind of investment do we need now to keep moving ourselves forward. You know, our intentions are to gain some employer investment as well, some financial investment on the part of the employers who are wanting to participate in this initial cohort. We do have buy-in from Cornell ILR, who are willing to do some of the research that's necessary, but we're trying to also determine, is that enough to take essentially in-kind support from Cornell ILR, or do we need to invest and have more of a financial commitment? Park Foundation has expressed some interest in potentially supporting the liaison or the professionals that we would have work within, you know, with employers, but we haven't put this full thing together in a concrete framework yet. So we're really still in the planning stages.
So I guess my suggestion would be to wait until perhaps November, December, after the planning group has had some more time to convene and determine what's going to be needed. At that time, if you can either expend the funds, or if they might be needed in the early part of 2023, we could just discuss encumbering them to so that you could still have them for use then. Or if you determine, Melissa or the team determines that they're no longer needed or a different approach is needed, we can revisit at that time. But I think that you have some time to determine through the planning group how to best go forward with the funds. Does that make sense?
does certainly from this end.
Okay,
Thank you.
great.
Okay, so we don't need to do anything right now at this committee, right?
I don't think so. I think we can, and I'll give myself a tickler. We can go back to it in a few months and see where we're at and recommend an action be taken at that time if that's necessary.
Okay. Is there any objection from the committee members?
No,
Okay, that sounds great. And I think it's, we're going to be entering budget season next month, but it doesn't seem like if you're far enough along that you'd want to look at anything added to our county budget for next year. Is that correct? Jackie, you're still formulating the program.
Yeah, I think we're still formulating that for sure. And
Yeah.
Again, I think one of the things that we really appreciated was how much interest and support we had from the legislative committees. So we really appreciate that. And also, we may want to revisit this with you further down the line for your feedback. And so we appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, and there's several, a couple of us on the Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee too. So this, overlaps there. And I do know this, just in my few years on legislature, to see somebody take the initiative and then formulate a working group to work on an important issue like this is so valuable. And I am just extremely appreciative for you guys taking this on, and we will support you as much as we can.
and hopefully you will have a CDO sometime in the future in 2023.
Right, the new chief chief equity and diversity officer.
Office of
Yes.
CDO.
Okay, and anything else that you want us to tell us, Jackie or Melissa?
Just lastly, that I know we have a team of people who are really committed to moving this forward. So I'm excited about that. It makes me feel good about handing off the baton. So thank you.
You talk about the Flock Foundation and Cornell ILR, any other groups that are working on it?
Well, the Cornell Cooperative Extension, partners at Finger Lakes Reuse, partners at Ultimate Reentry Opportunity Initiative, URO. So those are some of our core teammates that have been involved since early on. Some other employers that we've been, collaborating with and having conversations with earlier on. Borg Warner is one of our potential larger employers that are interested in partnering with us and potentially participating in the research. So it's one of the reasons that we're also hoping that the county, as an employer, would potentially jump on board too, but to be continued.
Okay.
Thanks, Henry. Thank you all so much for your time today too, especially with our last minute request. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And
Thank
great
you so much.
to meet you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Meet you, Melissa, and look forward to seeing you again. And Jackie, I have some ideas for team names. I'll get back with you.
Okay.
You don't have a team name yet?
No.
We're ready to roll though.
Well, I will say Jackie was going to actually leave before the picnic, and I'm not saying it was for the to stay to compete with me on the cornhole adventure, but she is now staying through that, so her and I will be competing together. So
How about the last hurrah?
That's right.
I'll write that down as okay. All ideas, please feel free to text me if anybody has any other ones. All right. Okay.
Thank you again, everyone.
Thanks, Jackie and Melissa. Oh, Melissa, are you participating in the cornhole tournament?
No, I don't think so. I can play fairly well though, so I should have thought about that, I guess.
Oh, you can still sign up.
We're gonna sign you up.
Yep, just
Have to do that.
text or I'm sorry, email Megan Cook, mcook, at Tompkins, blah, blah, and you can sign up so you can get a partner.
Okay, that works.
Yes, I've also been watching the cornhole tournament on ESPN. And they're quite impressive.
Yeah, they're really
Inspiration.
good. Okay, well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Let's
See you
see.
next week.
Yes, I'll see you next week at
Thank
the
you.
tournament.
Okay.
And any committee member reports? Topics?
Nope.
Things you did over your summer vacation that are appropriate to say here at this meeting? Okay, all right. Well, it looks like we're gonna end early. I see so far in our first year of our new committee configuration. I was talking to Brittany. It seems that the summer meetings we have and we've been ending early. So that's great. Okay, if there's nothing else, would someone like to move to adjourn? All in favor? All righty. So we're all adjourned, and thank you, everybody, very much. And thanks, Brittany and Rob, for doing the audio visual. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Yep. Goodbye.